What is up, everybody? To Stewart today. So we're gonna talk about the Avengers Endgame directors, the Russo brothers, and how they have said the Last of Us Part Two is one of the greatest games they have ever experienced. Now, everybody can have their own opinion. I think the game was fantastic myself, but these guys don't. These guys make movies. We don't hear these guys talk about video games whatsoever. It's kind of strange that the one of the first, if only times we hear these guys talk about video games is talking about The Last of Us 2 in a positive light. So I think it's kind of a little fishy, to be honest, because they're movie directors. The Last of Us Part 1, The Last of Us has a TV series right now, and if it does really well, of course, they're going to want to include the people from The Last of Us Part 2, like Abby, Dina, the Last of Us Part 2 main cast. So I think they're saying they're giving this game a lot of praise because they want to be part of Part 2 when that stuff enters into the Last of Us Part 1 TV show storyline. I think they are pretty much giving praise to this game because of the TV show that's coming up soon. So, but let's see what the article has to say about this. Anthony and Joe Russo, best known as directors for the blockbuster film Avengers Endgame, which is one of the highest grossing films of all time. The Last of Us Part 2 is one of the greatest games ever made. And so I was doing an interview with IGN. Let's see. Last of Us 2 hospital sequence in which your account of that boss is presented. Again, Joe is quick to praise the game, calling it one of the greatest games ever made, and saying the camera work is a page out of Steven Spielberg's playbook. It shouldn't come as much surprise that Hollywood's directors are impressed with what are some of the most cinematic and most movie-inspired titles available. Yeah, so, I mean, the game is great, but this game had a lot of controversy. It had a lot of controversy about this game. And it didn't sell that well compared to like the other first-party titles. So I mean, I'm not gonna take away from it. It was a great game. So I think it's just a little bit fishy that they are praising this game so much. Like I said before, you don't hear these guys talk about any other video game franchises. But coincidentally, they just out the blue just praise The Last of Us Part 2. That's interesting. It's definitely one of the best games ever made. That's for sure. They probably also tell you that the Avengers Endgame is the greatest story ever told. It isn't. It's a great movie and lots of fun. That is all. Naughty Dog are definitely in a tier of their own when it comes to their set pieces and sequences. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's a good studio. I would take away from that. Definitely one of the greatest within this genre. But yeah, the comments here should be fun. Yeah, because this game does have a lot of controversy. So I don't think everybody's going to be on board saying this is one of the greatest games ever made. I'm like, a lot of hardcore Sony guys were throwing complete tantrums when they found out one of the characters died in Part 2. So this definitely isn't a game that's like truly beloved by a lot of Sony fans. Yeah. I'm not sure, even to this day, I can call any of Naughty Dog's releases fully fleshed out games. They all felt like action movies or dramatic episodes of thrillers, with gameplay tacked on until you watch the next episode or play the next on-rail simple and silly action set piece. Depth and gameplay is lacking. I almost can't really say they feel fully fleshed out games at all. Everything is so simplified and scripted, especially the climbing for the sake of climbing in Uncharted games, and the combat is so easy and set up that it feels like a carnival shooting range. Okay. Yeah, like even story wise, I wouldn't say Part 2 is better than the first one. So, uh, I think this is just I think it's all coincidence. Or not coincidence. I think they're just trying to set up for a Part 2. So they could be the directors of a Part 2 if that happens in a TV show. It's probably one of the best linear stories in the games, and the Russos wouldn't be doing what they're doing if that wasn't what they value most. It's not what gets me most excited, but horses for courses and all that. Okay. It's one of the best on PS4 for sure, but all time though, nah, as it suffers from some big pacing issues by the end and should have ended sooner. From a pure gameplay standpoint, it's definitely one of the best third-person shooters ever made. That is true. That's just definitely gameplay mechanic wise. It's definitely one of the best and sharpest third person shooting games out there. Uh, I don't see them as much as an authority in the matter. In fact, I see this as more as a credit to Naughty Dog as being one of the great cinematic visions in the gaming industry, which the Russos would be an authority on. But I guess that still is me interpreting their words in my own way. Last of Us is one of the greatest games of all time, and thus the only Naughty Dog game that deserves that prestige. I can't even say story wise. Like, hey, sure, I got some good cinematics, but story wise in part two, I wouldn't. I don't think part two is a great story like that. To be honest, it's like it's a revenge story where the character just gives up. They have a random moment of clarity and they just give up getting the revenge. So it's kind of like, yeah, is it really that great? Does it deserve all these awards? I mean, it's a great gameplay wise, but story wise, I don't think it's that up there story wise. Without a doubt, it's well polished, accessible game, easily 10 out of 10 for most people. I thought it was boring. The Last of Us peaked with the first game, now that's being milked dry. Now Uncharted, there's the best game ever contender. I love The Last of Us and I'm a big Naughty Dog fan. I'll take whatever praise the game gets because it's true, and I don't want to sound like I guess he's trying to say a-hole or something. But these two can take their praise and shove it while I shall not name. Zero respect for these two and their words, and nobody should ask for their opinions on video games. Stick to your damn cinema. It is kind of weird. Like, we know these people are known for making movies, so why ask them about video games? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I remember the days when we got bullied for playing video games, and like these two would tell people to grow up. Not everybody's jumping on the video game bandwagon, seeking success and clout. Shaking my head. That is kind of true. Like, because video games are really mainstream now, people are just jumping onto the clout train, the success trains of video games. Because a lot of people, if this was like 10 or probably 20 years ago, they probably wouldn't be fans of video games because it's popular right now. People are on board. Same with the superhero movies. Like, people were thinking you're like a nerdy person or like a not probably for like the superhero stuff, but now the superhero stuff is mainstream, so everybody wants to see the superhero stuff in theaters now. So it's just interesting how that how that dynamic works like that. It was not popular before. You get seen as a weirdo if you like this stuff, but now it's super popular now amongst everybody. So everybody's trying to latch into the success of these two different properties right here. The game was amazing. So much hate for it because of Joel and the design of Abby, but the revenge story is enjoyable. People don't want to see their favorite characters held accountable for their actions. Abby's hate for Joel is justified. Probably because both of them are movies. First game was much better, but hey, you can't argue with preferences. Yeah, I would kind of say the first game was better too. If it just had the gameplay of the second game, I think it would probably be a better game, to be honest. But that's what I thought the remake was going to do, give you the better controls of the second game. But I guess that they turned out not to do that in the remake. So, let's see. It's not one of dub, but the best. But this coming from awful directors doesn't mean anything. So repeat it loud enough until you start to actually believe it. The need for outside validation is laughable and says a lot about you. Great game, but went on a little bit too long for me. Yeah, the game was kind of long, not in a good way, because you want these single player games to be long, but this kind of overstayed its welcome. Good graphics, bad writing. Yeah, the visuals for Last of Us Part 2 is definitely amazing, but the writing wise, definitely some things that could have been improved upon writing wise of that game. And all flashy visuals with bad writing must remind them of their own work. Wow. Oh man, I'm gonna conclude it right here. We kind of get the gist of it. I mean, it's just an interesting statement that some movie directors give their inputs on one of the greatest games ever made, and they say it's The Last of Us Part 2. Interesting. But definitely want to see your thoughts down below about this. Do you agree with their statements? Do you disagree? Why do you think they made this statement? Leave a like for this video. As always, thanks for watching, and peace.